It was probably the highlight of my graduate program at Pace.
And it was the best course of my college career.
I really felt like I was part of the Pace community, which was really special for me.
Producing a documentary like that was just so amazing because it was something that was so relevant and so meaningful.
The documentary courses are essential if you want to be a filmmaker.
It was definitely the closest thing to actually being part of a film crew or television crew.
It is such an amazing experience.
By actually stepping out of the classroom and seeing how things really work in the real world is extremely important.
When I sat down to talk about the curriculum of the program, one of the things that I wanted to include was documentary because I like it when something is real.
The cultural differences are what stand out the most to me.
But they've never seen a different culture. They've never seen a different world. They've never seen anything outside of New York. And they are educated and aware of what's going on outside of their little bubble. I'm very proud of these students and what they've done. And I feel like I have had a small part in it, but what I love is when they contact me, and they all do, and tell me about where they are and what they're doing.
Now I am a coordinating producer for Smithsonian Channel.
Right now I'm a freelance television producer who works mostly on sports television. This year I went to Rio for the Olympics and to the Super Bowl. I won my 4th Sports Emmy Award this year.
I work for a production company called Lucky 8.
I currently work as a corporate video producer for a company called Definition 6.
I graduated Pace and immediately got a job at A&E Networks as a media coordinator.
Currently, I am a production intern at CNN with Digital Studios.
Right now, I'm a reporter in Fort Smith, Arkansas, for a local TV station here, ABC affiliate KHBS News, KHOG 4029 News.
Currently, I work for the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, or ATF as it's more commonly known, in their San Francisco Field Division as a Public Information Officer.
Currently, I work for NBC Sports as the Senior Manager of Marketing Operations.
Right now, I currently work for NBC Sports on the NASCAR circuit. I do live on-air graphics for our pre- and post-race shows that you see on NBC and NBCSN.
I am currently an account development manager at a company called Ubiquity. Ubiquity is a media and marketing consultancy firm.
I work as the broadcast traffic and program scheduling supervisor at RNN TV, FiOS 1 News.
I was the field coordinator working with the producing teams on the CBS reality show Survivor.
I'm currently living and working in Los Angeles on a new show as script coordinator.
Currently I live in Los Angeles. I am the manager of development for Asylum Entertainment, which is an Emmy and Peabody award-winning production company, part of Legendary Pictures.
I think my favorite part of producing the day in the life of the American ambassador was actually sitting down and interviewing the ambassador. At that moment, I kind of had an aha realization that this is what I want to do.
You know, we got to experience what it is like as if it were a job.
Creating a documentary was the kickstart to my entire career.
I just wouldn't have had those opportunities available to me if I hadn't been trained as well as I was trained, and also just had the experience of being at Pace and getting to know so many capable people.
The story develops the same way the student does, in that they have understood the way a story develops from the conception to post-production, which is the final stage.
The most important thing I learned from the course had to do with storytelling and the way that stories evolve.
It really emphasized what I truly wanted to do, and that was to go into storytelling, producing stories that took a while to investigate.
Being able to create a clear and concise story with the massive amounts of information that we took back with us from that trip.
It's something that we did with those documentaries, just learning how to use transitions and how to use cuts and how to use music to really tell a story.
I think we're going to shoot down there at that picnic table with Aaron. Okay, so
we were able to interview people, we were able to ask questions, come up with the questions, and let the story kind of dictate itself.
They have a set of questions in front of them that they're supposed to ask this person, and they realize from that one answer that those questions no longer exist. So the student has to think on their feet and decide, okay, I'm not going to ask them the next question. I'm going to go where they just led me.
This lesson and story has helped me in my own writing even today. As characters and plots develop, the original plan changes, oftentimes for the better.
What makes this course so unique is that the students are actually working on a real production.
One of the first experiences I had was I think it was the very first documentary filmmaking class.
Both documentary courses really enhanced my skill sets for pre-production, production, and post-production. And it's amazing what I've actually taken with me. Looking at the first documentary I did in Italy, it was very run and gun. We covered 9 regions in 7 days. It was amazing at what you have to do, not only in terms of the actual shooting, but in terms of the traveling, the setup.
It was really the first time I used Avid and actually produced a video. It was really what kind of propelled me to follow that in my career and go into production.
One of the biggest things I learned while on that trip was just how a production crew comes together and how to work with different types of personalities and work on shooting an overall production, how you get from point A to point B to point C, and so on.
Because once you kind of enter into the field, I feel like you really have a step up on everyone, just knowing how to use all the equipment that professionals are using. I actually was the only person, aside from the camera people, who knew how to use the cameras that we were using to shoot a daytime talk show.
So when I was in the course, I learned a lot. I mean, you were able to do pre-production, post-production, production. You were handling all the different parts of what goes into making a documentary.
What I learned from the course was just the basics of how to create a production and see it through from start to finish.
She teaches you to be resourceful, which is really important to what I do now, because in development you have to be your own producer, writer, editor, anything and everything. You have to do it yourself.
It was very interesting that we thought we were going to be making a documentary about shrimp farming and met Linda Thornton, and when we interviewed her, heard the story about her life and decided that the documentary is no longer about shrimp farming. Shrimp farming is going to be our sub-story, but the real story is about Linda Thornton. And that, I think, was amazing to watch the students understand and develop and see that that story then branched off into another direction. I think Cuba, it was seeing the way that the world was changing and seeing what was happening in Cuba and, developing. In Curacao, it was understanding the life underwater and not really understanding and knowing that that life existed. Showing that beauty, I mean, you could see it with your eye, but then you wanted the camera to show it to your viewer as well. So trying to figure out how to do that and understanding that in Curacao was amazing. In the Netherlands, following the life of an American ambassador and seeing what her life was like and what she does every day, and going into her home, and she invited us into her home and seeing the way that her world was and trying to explain that and show that. As simple and as elegant as it was, seeing those different aspects of her life, which was very interesting. I learned a lot from the students during this course because I'm with them a long time and we're together. When we're shooting that documentary, we're together 24/7, and I mean that. They are shooting all day and we are logging and editing all night. And it's a lot of work, and I learn a lot from them because I learn a lot about them. I learn what students can and can't do. I learn where the strengths and the weaknesses come out, and I also learn that they work together as a team.
Teamwork is just so important, and it's important to communicate to your team, to communicate your ideas, because that will bring personality into whatever it is you're working on, and it will show.
Also loved how we had like a little bit of everything. We worked in the lab, we worked in the field, and you know, we got to experience what it is like as if it were a job.
I'd also say the relationships that I built while I was there, you know, it was a 10-day shoot, it was a very quick trip, but I think that only helped to strengthen the bond of the people that were all there. You know, we were such a team, and you know, trying so hard to tell the story, and we just all got very close, you know.
My biggest memory from that trip would probably be the relationships that I formed. A lot of us still talk to each other today, and I think those relationships will last a lifetime.
I also made some lifelong friends, and they are still some of my best friends in the industry.
And what I remember best about the course is the great friends I made and the beautiful island of Curacao that we were on. It was an overall great experience, and it changed who I am today.
You go into it and can essentially learn something from everyone. You learn about yourself and what kind of role you like to play, and you can also instill knowledge upon other people from the experiences that you have.
My life as a filmmaker and as someone who is able to make these things isn't over, and I think that's one of the most beautiful things about going on a course like this is I figured out what I loved to do because of all the different options we had and how everyone was doing every aspect of filmmaking. And because everyone's doing everything, you really figure out like what you love to do. You know, you like filmmaking, but what do you love?
The night before our deadline, Dr. Lesquet even brought a cot into the lab and slept in the sound room in solidarity.
It takes a lot to do this, and I understand how much time and effort it takes. So I'd like to thank Dr. Lesquet for her patience and for her passion.
The craziest story that I have in all of this is the couples, students that have dated and gotten married from this class.
Our last night in Portugal was when Vinny asked me to officially be his girlfriend, and we've been going strong ever since.
The documentary course was also pretty special for us because we spent so much time together that by the end of the semester, you know, a little bit after we started, you know, dating, and we're still together today. That's 4.5 years now.
Yep.
We met on the trip.
We did.
Obviously.
How's that obvious?
Well, we were both on it.
Oh yeah.
We just said
we
were both
had,
on
but
it.
we didn't know each other before then.
No, that's why I said we met on the trip.
We ended up getting married about
almost 4 years ago?
8 years after the trip.
Best story that I have is a couple, Matt and Michelle, who met on this trip, who have asked me to marry them.
Producing the documentary was definitely a life-changing experience in more ways than one, and I'm so grateful to have met the love of my life and my future husband through this course.
And all I have to say is it's really funny the way things work out.
They met on this class, and then when they thought about who they wanted to marry them, they told me they couldn't think of anybody else but me. I have been through beaches and jungles and rainforests and vineyards and very interesting spots and situations with students. And I will tell you that those memories will last for my entire life. And the friendships I've made that carry through with those students and the things that I have learned from them and about them and with them on these trips is something that I will never forget. And I'm proud to say that I enjoy it as much as they do.